Good afternoon. Today is April 26th, 2018. I'm meeting today with Mr. Walter Graham at his home in Brush, Colorado. My name is Brad Hoops. I'm the interviewer for the Northern Colorado Veterans History Project. Welcome, Walter, and thanks for sitting down today to tell your story.
Well, I was born in Mason County, Illinois, and November the 23rd, 1922.
Wow.
That makes me 95 years old. I grew up on a farm, several farms in fact, and raised corn and wheat and oats and practically all the different crops.
Brothers and sisters?
I had two brothers and two sisters.
And where'd you fit in that pecking order?
I'm the oldest one.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay.
And my sister Bonnie is after me, and then there's her sister Shirley, and brother Bob, and her brother Bruce, who just passed away recently.
Oh, boy. Wow.
And that spent almost growing up years on a different farm. We lived in Mason County for a number of years, lived down around Pawnee, Illinois for a while. And after I graduated from grade school, I went into the 3 Cs, that's the Civilian Conservation Corps, for a couple of years.
Well, let me ask you, I always like to ask your generation, was your family, how was your family affected by the Great Depression, or was it?
It's affected, of course, it was hard on us.
Yeah.
And it was one reason I went in the 3 Cs to help my family meet their obligations.
So you would send money home?
I sent money home,
Where'd you go for the CCC?
I was in the CC camps at Havana, Illinois for a while. Then I was at Jacksonville, Illinois for a while, and then Quincy, Illinois. And that's where I was when World War II broke out.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Do you remember where you were and what you were thinking when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
I just walked in the barracks door after going to church that morning, and I heard that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor.
Oh, boy. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Take your story from there then. So,
right. And then I spent 3 years in the Marines, and made 4 different landings.
well, let's back up. So, how soon then after Pearl Harbor did you, before you got into the service?
Oh, yeah, that's another story. My father wouldn't sign for me to go right in, so he told me into taking a trip. So I got on a bicycle, and rode that bicycle from central Illinois to the southeastern end of South Dakota.
Oh, jeez.
Took me about
on an old bike. Not one of these nice 18-speed bikes either.
Regular bike. And it took about 6 days. I made about 100 miles a day.
Wow.
That is quite a trip.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I worked there for a while, and then I in the wheat field, and I went from there on out to Missoula, Montana, and worked in a logging camp for a while, and worked on a cattle ranch for a while, and then I come back and went to the Marines.
Now, you said your folks wouldn't sign for you. You were still 17, or why? Did you?
I was about 19 then.
Okay, but you had to be older to get into the Marines. Is that?
Yeah, well, you had to be age. I think 21 then,
That's
but
what I
they
thought.
lowered it.
Okay, all right.
When they started drafting at 18, well then they lowered it, but at that time you had to
Now, so did you enlist in the Marines or did you get drafted?
I enlisted
Now, of all the service branches, how did you come to choose the Marines?
because of the training they give them.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that didn't scare you?
No, it should have.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It was tough training.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I want to ask you about that. So, so you enlisted, and then I imagine it took off for California then, or continue your story after you get enlisted.
Well, I enlisted. I went to San Diego for boot camp training.
Okay. Yeah.
And then from there, I was about a year in Camp Pendleton, training with the 4th Marine Division, 14th Marines, which is an artillery regiment.
Now, do you think being in the CCC that kind of helped you a little bit with?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And talk too. I've interviewed a number of Marines, and they all say the process is they break you down to a puddle of clay and then build you back up. Did you
Right.
find that to be the?
That, right. So
Yeah.
make you realize, think that you're not even human. You know what it is.
And how was that for you? That
I remember one time I was standing inspection and I had my belt on wrong.
oh jeez. Oh.
Belt. This old sergeant looked at that and said, "What are you?" And a woman ranger grabbed that belt and gave it a yank out of it from a size 13 about a size 10.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And we landed first on Roy no More.
Well, so then you went boot camp, and then you went to Pendleton for a year for training.
Right,
Yeah, and then shipped
I
overseas.
shipped overseas.
And how was that? Here's this landlocked boy from Illinois going to sea. Did you get your sea legs, or how was that trip across the Pacific for you?
Well, we were one of the first divisions to go directly from training right into combat.
That's right. That's right.
At Roy no More. And it was a short engagement, didn't last too long, but they had several casualties. And then the next landing, another a lot rougher landing, is on Saipan. And I remember laying there on the beach, and they landed there, and D-Day, you could see the shells before they hit.
Is that right?
And it just literally lift you off the ground, and they exploded. I'd got a hold of Army utility jacket, and they had big pockets on them, and the Marines had the small pockets, but these had big pockets. So it got me a couple of cans of Planters peanuts, put one to one pocket, money on the other, and I hit the beach, and I felt like a mountain laying on top of those cans. And I rolled over and I throwed one can one way, the other can the other way. I don't eat those Planters peanuts. It sure wasn't me.
Oh, wow.
And then after Saipan, we landed on Tinian, and
To go back though,
Yeah.
to those watch, you were in artillery, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's what you're trained for, and yeah, and you know, you see all these newsreels and movies. You know, you're storming the beach. How did you get your equipment onto the beach? How would that?
Well, they loaded us for the landing craft,
Yeah.
and the first 3 landings we had what they call Palcowsers. They weren't too heavy of a piece, and you could manhandle them pretty easy. On Eagle, we had Pac 75, which is a little heavier gun, but it was a good gun.
So the crew would just pull this thing out of the landing craft then? Is that right? Wow.
Yeah,
It wouldn't get stuck in the
so you
sand?
just manhandle it off the beach, and the sand wasn't too bad on Saipan and Tinian and Roy, but it was rough going on Eagle.
Oh, right, yeah, right.
It was a sort of coral sand, and they sink in, but we manhandled it off the beach.
Boy. Yeah.
It's,
And
and shells had fallen all around it.
I can't imagine. With the artillery, would you be would you be in the first couple of waves, or would waves go in first?
About the fourth or fifth wave
Fourth, okay,
would come in.
okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, what's a person, you're right in that landing craft heading to the beach. What's a person thinking then when, you're going into harm's way and...
Well, really, you're not thinking about much of anything.
Is that right?
Getting that gun on the beach and getting a position. Of course, after you get on the beach, that's another thing.
I gotta imagine you become a target yourself when they see, they're looking to take you out,
Yeah, that first night on Eagle, we got a direct hit in our gun pit, and it wounded half the gun crew, and knocked me out for a little bit. I didn't get a scratch, but I felt like my head was being blown off.
Oh.
And,
Wow.
yeah, it was,
Now, you did all this training back in the States before you took off. Was that anything, were they able to get anywhere near what an actual battle scene is like? Do you think the training was good enough for you?
oh, yes.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It is good training.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good training.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, four different landings. How long were you then on Iwo?
We was on Eagle about 30 days.
30 days.
It took about 30 days to take that out.
Wow. Yeah. And talk a little.
It was the roughest one of them.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
I saw the flag go up.
Did you really? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Wow. What are your living conditions like when you're on the? I mean,
Well, you're out there in the open,
just laying out in the open
and no shelter, sleep on the ground, and
then just sea rations and such.
sea rations. And,
Well, one question I always like to ask in situations like that. I mean, you look at your situation. You weren't sleeping very well. You weren't eating very well. Your sanitary conditions were awful. You're out in the open, out in the conditions. Right. I mean, any one of those things would knock a man down. But you've got all four of them, plus the stress of war. How do you think you made it through those times?
On the Lord.
Yeah.
Possible.
Is that right? Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I think I promised the Lord if you get me out of this, I'd do whatever He wanted me to. So after I got out, I become a pastor.
Is that right? Wow. Wow. Yeah, they say there's no atheists in foxholes. Yeah. Wow. So you're talking on Iwo. Your unit took a direct hit, injured half your crew. What happened after? Is that what took you guys off the island then, or what?
No, we stayed on.
Really?
It kept on.
They just bring in replacements for you, or?
We just it was part of a gun crew, but we found a gun.
Wow. Now, did you guys stay on the beach the whole time, or as things progressed, did you guys move into the island?
It was a very big island, so
yeah.
On Eagle. Now on Saipan, we moved a few times. Our gun place we did, and so on Tinian, but not on Eagle. We stayed in one position all the time, because we could reach Island from any place where we was at.
Oh, okay.
Island was only about 8 miles long.
Right.
It had a range of about 7 miles.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
And how you went through 4 different invasions. What would you do between periods of that to regroup?
Back. We had a base camp in the Island Islands on Maui.
Oh, okay.
And we go back to Maui after each one and retrain and take on new replacements and.
Boy, wow. Did it psychologically wise? did it get easier for you? It's like, oh, another landing, or was it
I
just?
think each time got a little harder.
Did it get it? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You didn't know when your time was coming.
Oh, I can't imagine that. Wow.
I remember laying under the gun pit on Ewo, and this muscle on this leg was just shaky, yellow, and I couldn't do a thing about it.
Oh man. Oh, wow.
It affects different guys in
Sure.
different ways.
Right. Oh, sure.
That was the problem I had.
How was it? I usually ask this question further along in the interview, but you say how it affected people different ways. How was it through life for you? Did you were you able to look past it, or did you have flashbacks and nightmares? You know, once you got home.
I did after I got out. Yeah.
You did you? Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah. And but they've all by and large gone away, or do you still think does it ever come back at all in these later
A
years?
few years away. I don't have problems anymore.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Good. So you guys go through your fourth invasion at Iwo, and take your story from there. Then, what's what came after Iwo? What?
Yes, after you, I would come home and I got out, and for a number of years I packed guided dudes up in mountains of Marine Lakes.
So after Iwo, you were done. There was.
Yeah, I didn't stay in. No,
Okay, well, but I mean, after you guys came off to Iwo and went back to Hawaii, was there any? Were you preparing for the invasion of Japan or anything like that?
We trained, but they dropped the bomb and it was over.
And what are your thoughts on that, on the bomb? And
well, I'm glad they dropped it.
Okay.
It's probably been a lot worse if we hadn't.
Yeah. So then the war ends. Were you on Hawaii when the war ended then?
I was.
Yeah. Was it a pretty big celebration when you heard about the...
It definitely was.
Yeah. I can only imagine what the relief was that I made it through this thing after all.
You know, you made it through the war.
Yeah.
Going home.
Wow.
I remember when we come back to the stateside, we was aboard of what they call a bicycle aircraft carriers.
Okay.
They'd ferry them into the area and then fly them onto bigger flat tops. And it was loaded with Marines. And when they come inside of the harbor of Pearl Harbor, they got all the Marines rushed on the one side to see the harbor. And the captain got on the bullhorn and told him to go below deck. He couldn't even land the ship because it tilted in.
I'll be darned. Wow. So you returned to the States back to San Diego then? Okay. And then how much longer were you in the service before you were able to...
I got out right away.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And then I got out, and then I come home and worked around home for a little while, and then come out to Colorado. And I've been there ever since.
Now, what brought you to Colorado?
I had a friend that grew up in Meeker, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
And I dropped by to see him, and it's been there ever since.
Is that right? Yeah.
And I worked for the Forest Service, and I worked on different ranches, and worked on dude ranches.
And then you said earlier you became a pastor. Then how did that come about then?
Well, I went with that for a while. I decided to go away to Bible school. And 20 years in Bible school, and I pastored a church at Snyder for 10 years.
Oh, did you? Yeah, okay. Okay.
And then I pastored Conway, Texas, and one at Johnstown.
Okay. All right. And you were able to use the GI Bill to go to Bible school? Oh, good. Okay. Okay. Well, talk a little bit about family, children, grandchildren, your wife.
I have 4 children. I have a son, a Walter Graham the third, and I have a daughter, Rebecca, and then I have Cindy, and then I have a son, William or Bill, and they, of course, they have. I don't know whether they name them the grandchildren or not.
34, I think.
How many?
I think we're up to 34.
34 grandchildren? Oh my. And any greats?
No, well, a couple, but we're not. Let's see. 2. 6. Too many to count.
Okay.
I'd have to do the math.
That's okay.
Yes, grades too. Can I prompt?
Wow. Well, through the years, did you ever keep in touch with any of the guys that you served with? Was there any sort of reunions?
I did this one, so Edgar Robertson.
Yeah.
And there's another by the name of Doc Oglesby. I visited him a few times. Other than that,
No unit reunions or anything like that?
oh yeah, we've had reunions.
Have you? Yeah.
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 Yeah, and there were several I remembered when I was in the service that were at reunions. That a sergeant by the name of Mordecai that he was there, and a few others.
Oh wow. Well, as we kind of start winding down this interview, and Cindy, I want you to jump in with this as well, because I feel like I got just the very tip of this iceberg of your story. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask about? Any other stories that have floated to the top? And Cindy, jump in. I'm sure there's all sorts of things he's left out that you'd like, or some things you'd like to ask him about.
Talk about being called back, Dad. Where
Oh,
were
that's
you when
right.
they called you back?
Beg pardon?
Where were you when they called you back to the service?
Oh,
for
I
Korea?
was working at the Dude Ranch, and they called me back, and when the Korean thing was on, I was in again for another year.
Oh boy, were you married at that time?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
married.
Okay.
And I didn't leave the States then. I was stateside all the time.
Yeah, but still, the fact after all you've been through and to be called back again 5 years.
I had enough.
Yeah, I'll
I
bet.
didn't care to go.
What was your job during that time?
I was on in an artillery unit. It was 155 long toms. They had a range of about 17 mile, and so that'd be, if it had been in combat, I'd been quite a ways behind the lines of it. And
But fortunately,
I
you
was
didn't get called.
too for a while, and for a while I was acting gunnery sergeant. I had 4 guns I was in charge of instead of which one.
Fortunately, you never got called over to Korea then. Oh, good.
Where were you when you had your swimming episode? You went swimming and was that Roy Moore that you got out in the lagoons and went swimming? And
Oh yeah, that was on Roy no More, and I had these life belts you could wear. It had little capsules and you squeeze them and fill with air. And I pick up my feet and float out, and then walk back and float out again. And this one time I just about didn't have enough toe hold to come back.
Oh boy.
And one of my buddies didn't. And I had to get a Amtrak to go out there and get him. I didn't much want to. But I finally was able to go out and get him. Bring him back. He floating out into the ocean.
Oh jeez. So once again, what was it like? Here's this farm boy from Illinois, halfway around the world on these exotic islands. What that must have been just an experience for a 21-year-old. And
Well, it really was. It wasn't very hot.
No?
on those islands.
No? Okay.
It rains a lot,
Yeah.
and of course you just out there and get wet.
Jeez. But you never succumbed to any of the diseases like malaria or anything? Had any issues with any?
Dysentery a time or two, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time I got hold of one of these Jap bicycles. It didn't have any tires on it. And I was ready to go over to a farmhouse that had a little cistern. I was going to take a bath out of my helmet. I pedaled along and sounded like a bee went by. I pedaled along with foot and I decided that wasn't a bee. And I left that motorcycle right where it was. I could make better time on foot.
Oh, boy. So there was Japanese shooting at you, huh?
Shooting at me, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Of course, you say the ones you don't hear is the one you need to worry about.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Did you ever come in contact with any Japanese directly?
I never actually saw a Japanese.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
I'm sure that our guns did plenty of damage to them.
Yeah. And what about after some of these battles? Did you have any contact with like the local civilians on any?
Some.
Yeah.
Not much, but some.
Yeah. And on Saipan, they had the cliffs there where the suicides were.
No.
Okay.
Well, we had them break through the infantry lines and get back to artillery, and we wiped them out.
Oh boy! Wow. Wow. And then they never really gave up. I mean, you won a battle, but you never really had the island secure. There was always those stragglers that. Wow. Mm. I can't imagine. It's. I know it's a man-made thing, but I just can't imagine what it's like to be in a war zone. It just seems so unnatural to be in. I can't imagine what.
Well, it is a natural place, really. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
How'd you spend your free time, Dad? If you weren't firing the gun, somebody called ceasefire, whatever. Did you play cards, read a book? What'd you do?
Some card playing. Some were just dozings.
Is that when you fell asleep under the tarp or your poncho that had red ink? Tell about that one.
Yeah, is on you on the poncho had red ink, and I was exhausted, so I just sound asleep, and one of the guys come by and said, "When did Graham get it?" I hadn't been hit. It had red ink, and I sound asleep.
And it was all over you?
Right?
The ink was all over you? Oh, jeez.
It was all over the poncho.
Oh, so it looked like blood, like you'd been shot or something.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
On the poncho.
Oh, yeah. And
I know one time on Roy and Moore, I had a poncho with another guy keeping watch, and I had dozing, and he just turned to watch, and I felt like a hand reaching across my face. I thought that character went to sleep, and the Jap trying to find my throat. He cut it. I come up out of there fighting, and all it was just a land grab.
Oh, geez.
What was your favorite food to eat, Dad, out of those sea rations? I know you liked hot cocoa.
I like pork and beans. And a pretty good ration.
You still like them today? How about Spam?
No. Spam and Spam, anyway, you fix it.
Yeah. Well, how was that? I mean, here's a country boy that was eating fresh eggs and fresh milk, and now you're drinking powdered milk and sea rations. Couldn't have been too enjoyable.
Well, You ate because you're hungry.
Okay. Yeah. And I over the years I talked to people that they got back to the States and they had a craving for something. Is there something you had a craving when you got back for that?
Oh yeah, strawberry ice cream.
Yeah.
Strawberries.
How long were you overseas? Roughly.
About 2 years.
2 years. Wow. And talk about, in today's world, we've got computers and telephones and instant messaging. Talk about how you communicated back home. What were your options there?
Then during the war,
Yeah.
just the letters.
So just the letters, yeah. Yeah. And generally, how long would it take a letter to get back and forth?
Sometimes maybe a week or more.
Well. And with you guys moving all the time, was mail able to keep up with you?
It took a while sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Uh-huh.
And how would you learn about just news? What was going on in the world? Baseball scores back home? How the war was going? How were you kept up with?
Well, we kept up pretty well with that because of radio, and they had we heard about what was taking place in Europe
Oh, okay.
very easily. So we kept up with that pretty well.
And speaking of the radio, would you pick up Tokyo Rose?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we heard Tokyo Rose.
Yeah. Now, did either one of your younger brothers serve, or were they too young for the war? Or?
They were too young for
Oh, good.
that war, but they did go in later on.
Yeah.
And both my brothers went into the Marines too.
Is that right? Because of you, do you think?
Beg pardon?
Because of you, do you think?
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, one to say, well, both served during the time the Korean War was going
Okay.
on.
Yeah. Trying to think. Talk about meeting Leona and your marriage.
Oh, I went to work at this tourist resort one summer, and Leona was the cabin girl. And from there, I found out and got married.
And how long were you married before she passed?
What about a little over 50 years today?
Wow. And then how long of a career did you have as a pastor?
Oh,
Boy, let's see, if you were 37.
that's at Conway, about 3 years. And Snyder,
Branson was about 4 years, 5 years.
where?
Branson,
Yeah, Branson about 4 years. And then Snyder about 10 years. And Johnstown about 3 years ago.
and then out at the Christian school for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And he officially retired to take care of Mom then after that. So
Okay.
she had kidney disease, so
Oh, okay.
he became caregiver.
And did you have a strong faith prior to going into the service, or would you say that you said that your career kind of was because of the service, or?
What's that?
Were you raised in the church? How did you get into your faith walk?
Oh, yeah, we grew up. I grew up going to church.
Were you baptized on ship? Is that right, Dad?
No, I still here in the States. I was
Okay.
baptized just before we shipped out.
Okay.
And what drew you to the ministry? How did?
After I went away to Bible school, I just naturally thought I'd start being a pastor.
And that was you enjoyed the career. It was a good career for you. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Talk about what the mountains did for you, Dad. When you came home, you spent a lot of time alone up in the mountains.
Yeah.
How did that help you?
It really helped me. I sort of got my sea leg back under me, and sort of forget a little bit of what went on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good therapy.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Good, good.
I rode pool and also packed dudes in the Marine Lakes. And riding pool was, I really liked to do that. A lot of fun.
Think of anything else, Cindy, that we've left out? I know, like I said, I know we probably only got a tip of the iceberg, but hopefully we get everything we can in to hopefully round out a story as best we can.
How do you think that experience of being a Marine helped you as a pastor? Empathy or preaching, or how did that life experience as a Marine soldier and discipline carry over to help you as a pastor?
I think it has given me confidence in what I was doing. I could do it.
Yeah, that's usually my last question is, you know, when you look back at your time as a Marine, and particularly everything that you went through with those 4 landings, how did that affect your life, your thought process, change your life, or do you look at it just simply as a chapter of your life that you went through?
I think it gave me confidence.
Did it? Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. Anything else?
It's a good story. We want it recorded.
No,
so
absolutely.
we can all remember.
That's right. That's right. Well, Walter, I want to thank you for sitting down to tell your story today, but more importantly, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, this is a picture of my bicycle and myself.
That's a bike you took on the long trip?
On that trip, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a picture I had taken on Hawaiian Islands. I was in the Marines. I don't remember on the first one over after I'd been there for a while. I don't remember.
Okay.
Okay, this is, let's see, this is me right here, and then this is a gun. Right seldom you can catch a gun when it's just as it's fired.
Wow.
But they're just fired around, and
Where was this taken?
it's taken on Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima? Yeah, and there's the lava sand there, and
Right,
yeah.
Where did that photo end up, Dad?
Oh, on the front page of New York Times.
Is that right?
It's also in the movie Flags of Our Fathers.
Yeah?
Yep.
Really? I'll be darned.
So.
These are white gloves for when you wore dress blues.
Uh-huh.
This is my dog tag, 499395 is a serial number.
Still remember it.
And this is a letter to my grandfather.
Wow. Huh.
This citation given for the landing on Saipan and Tinian, and this is a letter my parents received after the shell had hit the gun pit on Iwo. And my parents, when they got this letter, Dad said that it looked like a rattlesnake there.
Because they had...
And he didn't want to open it, afraid his letter that didn't make it.
Oh, I can't imagine what that was must have been like for your parents.
Yeah.
Oh boy. And they didn't know your status for a long time, right, after that?
Mm.
And when we were talking earlier about letters, you couldn't tell them where you were or anything. I'll be darned.
Isn't that the one Grandma said that she left on the dining room table because Grandpa was working night shift at the defense plant and she wouldn't open it, wouldn't wake him up, So finally he got up and looked at it, and then they opened it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that was like for parents.
I think this is probably a head mount, and I'm not sure exactly what about this or this either. I don't know what that is for.
And where did you get these? How did you pick these up?
Oh, I picked them up on, I think I got this on the Saipan,
Huh.
both of these.
Have you ever had anything translated?
No, I never
Yeah.
did.
That book was put together by Walter's sisters and family. Primarily his sister Aunt Shirley preserved it for the years following so that he could have it. And this is, of course, his picture that we looked at previously.
Uh-huh.
His photo when he entered, and then anything she could find about the Marine Corps, she clipped and put in. Some things they knew he was involved in, some things they never knew. A few of the pages. This is one of those that she's labeled and pulled out as time frame that came out of the magazine, New York Times, etc.
Now, how did you
About
guys discover
evil.
it was in the Times?
Aunt Shirley must have known it was in the Times, didn't she, Dad? How did you know it was there?
One of the buddies noticed.
Oh, one of the other guys in the picture, probably.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we are thrilled to have the remembrances that
Oh,
she
yeah.
kept and put
Oh,
together.
that's
and
wonderful.
there's endless information, the story as it went on, some of the things from his involvement, the flag that he saw go
Yeah.
up.
Wow.
But you were glad to see it go up, weren't you, Dad?
Yeah, I'll bet.
So for many years it's been preserved, and then of course the memorial
Uh-huh.
in Washington, which you've seen, haven't you? Been there.
And the 4th was a new division too, right? It was started and went off to right away off to war. Is that correct?
Is
Hey,
it
Martin.
that the 4th was a new division, and they went right into war, right?
Right.
You knew all these guys personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Medal of Honor winners.
How about your drill sergeant? Do you still remember your drill
I
sergeant?
sure do.
And what are your thoughts on him then and now?
Well, one drill sergeant I had, he must have been about 6'2" or something like that. Had feet looked like gunboats. He's the one that yanked my belt.
Okay.
Speaking of that belt, I remember it a little less fondly. Do you have any favorite pictures in here?
No, that's all they.
Oh, that was a memorabilia from one of your conventions, I bet, wasn't it? Yeah. Lots of history in that one.
Yeah.
This is every dishonorable, every honorable discharge veteran.
The ruptured duck.
Right, ruptured duck.
Uh-huh.
This has been ranked when I come out this second time as staff sergeant.
Okay.
Because this is a sharpshooter medal and
Uh-huh.
a basic medal and 4 landings and 2 presidential and naval unit citations.
And this is
This is my boot camp picture.
And where are you in this picture, do you know?
Oh, not without looking. And what's the background, Dad?
That's out of my blouse.
Is that right? Oh. Oh, what a great shadow box. Oh, this is wonderful. Yeah. Now, were you given now Marines don't have the Purple Heart. Is that correct? Did they get?
Big pardon?
Did the Marines get the Purple Heart? Is there, or what's their version?
Oh yeah.
Were you given?
If you were wounded in combat,
So you weren't considered.
I
when that-
didn't get a Purple
You didn't get a
Heart.
Purple Heart for that. Oh.
I had to wait to get back over home, and I rode a bronc through a long car shed and broke 2 wagon tongues and
And your ankle.
dislocated my ankle.
That
Didn't
was,
get a scratch in the surface.
Yes.
The horse like killed me.
oh yeah, the horse was more dangerous than all the Japanese.
Oh, very good.
Oh yeah, this is a little paint horse I used to ride in a road pool.
Do you remember her name?
Color paint.
Paint.
Yeah, it's after becoming a pastor.